Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to another exciting Empowering Your Circle podcast. Today, we're going to learn a lot of little things about starting up a business later in life, why people do that. We're also going to find out about the changes to tax reporting and things in the UK. But I'm very proud and privileged to have Claudia Sheena, who's the founder of Creative Studio Accountants, a financial specialist who works closely with the creative and digital agency founders to help them truly understand their numbers and build businesses that generally work for them. She brings with her over 25 years experience across a wide range of accounting practices, developing like this really deep understanding of what works well for business owners where traditional approaches fall short. Because when you work in small business, it's really good to have somebody who understands from the ground up what is required in a small business. So alongside her career when she was working it, she quietly built her own practice supporting clients with forward planning, technology and financial clarity. So in her 50s, she made this total decision, and very bold, to move away from the security of employment and focus fully on her business. Now she's even growing it, which is very exciting, that you don't just start your business, but you keep growing it. So welcome, Claudia. It's so nice to have you on my podcast.
Oh, thank you, Hazel, for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
So I'm really excited because, do you know, people will hear the word accountant and they're all like, oh, stuffy and all sorts of things. And we don't want to know, we really don't want to go talk to them because we're fearful. And, what are they going to tell us we have to do? But you change that because you're not like that at all.
I try not to be.
And I guess working with creatives, that's going to be something you have to not be because they wouldn't react the same way, would they?
Yeah, a lot of I noticed that when I talk to people about numbers, their face like glazes over and they're scared and they don't really want to. So I'm trying to bridge that gap and be their financial partner, help them interpret the numbers to make it into a story and help them make the decisions they need to grow their business.
Yeah, I like that actually. The wording you just said is really important, the financial partner, because you are. That's essentially what you need to have with an accountant. But a lot of us will just say, oh, let's just ring the accountant. But I think you offer so much more than that. And I guess that comes from that more than 25 years experience working in accounting. Um, what gave you the confidence to take that step to move away from working with other people in kind of a corporate maybe environment to actually saying, that's it, all in, I'm going into creative studio accounting?
But it was a long time coming. So I started my own, I think I call it a side hustle. I don't really like that word, but I started doing it on the side maybe 10 years ago, whilst I was working full time. And then that built up a little bit. Then I changed jobs during the pandemic to a part-time job. And then about 2 years ago, it was just getting too much. So I was luckily growing my side business. And I thought, well, I'm not getting any younger. It's now or never. And I took the plunge and I was, advising other clients to start their own business and how to help them. So I thought, why not do it for myself? Don't back myself, no one will. I just did it. I guess in my 50s, I'm much more confident than I was when I was younger. My kids had left home. I've got more time and financial security than I did when I was younger. So it was the prime opportunity.
Excellent, which means if you can do it, other people can do it.
Exactly.
So, and I do like that it's now or never. So, if you say that to yourself, it's like, well, am I going to make this happen or am I not? And that is a really powerful thing to sit there and think, right, I'm at a crossroads almost. Which way am I going to go? And you do need confidence. You do need that feeling of, I can back myself. And sadly, some people are not like that. So it's really good to have you on the program because that means that people can hear from you how that can come across and how you can make that work. You mentioned something about a health scare and a family situation that kind of was a real turning point. Was that the kind of the pivot?
So I had a health scare after I left. So when I started my own business, about 3 months in, I had a breast cancer health scare. Thank God it was nothing. It was a false alarm. But that made me realize that if I want to run a business, I can't just do everything myself, because initially I was just planning on just being a solopreneur. But it made me realize that if something happened to me, my business would like collapse. So that's when I started hiring. So I've now a team of four. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so and developing my systems and processes to make sure it's a robust business rather than just a self-employment role. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Trying to build up the
Yeah.
business around me so I can take time off if I'm ill. And then unfortunately, my in-laws both passed away recently. So I had having that experience and having the systems and processes and staff around me meant I could take some time off and be with my family in a time of need. So it just made me realize that it's not just me working on my own. I have to build a proper business with the processes and systems. And having that experience has helped me with my clients as well, giving them that guidance.
Yeah, that's really good. It was interesting. I went to a networking event I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and there was a lady who was doing her spotlight talk, and she posed kind of this question about, what happens if you aren't able to work in your business for a period of time, like a month or whatever, and also how would someone else tell your clients that you're not available for that length of time or whatever? And it was really interesting because all of us were like, oh,
Yeah.
like, and I know I used to own my own business and help people with their operations manuals and all sorts of things. So I knew how important it was, but I suddenly realized, like I'm an associate trainer for a company, and I suddenly went, what happens if I can't ring them? Like no one in my family knows how to tell them that I can't attend the training or whatever. So as soon as it was finished, on my whiteboard behind me, I went and put, this is the phone number and this is their email address immediately, because I kind of went, someone has to be able to tell them if I can't for whatever reason. And that's just obviously one party, but you do need to think about things in business, don't you? It's not just like a one-off, somebody will look after it for me. It's like, well,
Yeah.
who is going to?
But when you're
So,
employed, you can, you're sick, you're sick. It's their problem. But the buck stops with you as a business owner. So you've really got to think about those things. And there's quite a few changes from being an employee to business owner that took me by surprise, I guess, at the beginning. So, like you have to be the marketer, you have to be, it's so much more than pricing. Just being an accountant was just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much underneath it all that you've got to keep going and doing that is not obvious when you start a business.
no, and at least you have the ability to know how to do your accounts. Whereas that's kind of another
That's
string
true,
that people
yeah.
kind of go, when we were working somewhere else, we didn't have to worry about the budgets and the profit and
Yeah.
loss and all sorts of things. We didn't have to even know what that even meant. But when you own your own business, all of a sudden that becomes an important aspect. And they're words that people don't even know what you're talking about, and that's really hard. I mean, I used to do bookkeeping back in the day, so I kind of still understand a little bit about what they mean, but it's been years. And so I probably would probably going, oh my gosh, now what does that all that mean? I'm still in the earlier stages, but I know that there are words out there that are going to have to come back to me so I understand them. So when I was saying in the introduction that you've worked across a lot of accounting practices, so you've seen things from like so many different angles. How does that help you, like you now delivering to different small businesses? And I know your main focus is on creatives, and kind of digital agency. How is what you've done in your past actually benefiting them? Like,
So
in terms of,
over the years, I worked at different practices, starting for the more traditional stereotypal practice where people ring you once a year and you do your tax return, and it's very much historical looking. So here's your tax bill, I'll see you next year, and it's all historic stuff and not very
yep,
helpful. Whereas when I've progressed in my career, I've been working for more modern firms where technology is part and parcel of the service we offer, and we become more of a financial partner. So the last firm I was at, it was very much working alongside with the customers, with the clients on a regular basis, using technology to its utmost to leverage the processes and systems that they offer. And from that, I've used that in my own practice now. So I'm trying to be as technology up to date with the technology as possible, and being able to look forwards rather than just looking backwards and giving them a tax bill 9 months later and
Right.
looking at things that historic and have no one's got any recollection of anything. I'm trying to be in the present and looking forwards. So I picked that up from my last practice, and just over the years, the technology has changed so much. So I'm really trying to leverage what there is, and especially with AI now. Being an accountant, a lot of the stuff, who knows how long until the AI is going to take over, but there's the human touch that's never going to be disappearing. So that's why I'm trying to be more financial partner and be that person to talk to rather than just relying on technology. So I'm
Yeah,
using
you're
technology,
right.
but being the
I
interpreter.
was Yes, I think we need that in so many more ways than we realize because it is here and it's here to stay. And the more people that I speak to, they are like, oh, we're so worried about it's going to take our job. And
But
I'm like, don't worry about it because we all need the human element, that ability to have empathy and to understand that people are nervous and fearful and stuff like that. Because when anybody talks about money, at any level, everybody like you said, glaze over, they're fearful, they're lacking confidence. AI can't look at that and go, we understand that and guide you because that's how you feel. That's my opinion.
AI
So
as well, you can't in finance and tax, you ask it questions, it gives you the wrong answers. You've got to be so careful. And you've got to
yeah,
ask it the right way as well. Because if you say, should I be paying this much tax? It's a subjective question. It's not, is this the right amount of tax? Am I doing this correctly? If you put the wrong question in, you'll get the wrong answer. And it's very subtle. And I've seen situations where clients have got stuck because they've relied on AI and they didn't realize they asked the question in the wrong way to give them the wrong answer. So it's really important. My advice is only use AI if you know the answers. Just help you get the reply quicker.
yeah, that's really important because actually, I mean, not that I ask AI any financial things, but it's very important to think about that because I hadn't even thought that people would probably be putting in am I paying the right amount of tax? Am I owed tax? Am I this, whatever? I hadn't actually thought that someone would be doing that, but you're probably right. There's probably
But
thousands of
I've
people.
been on tax courses where we get updates on tax cases in the courts, and there was a case where somebody said, "Should I have to pay something something?" And it was unfair in his situation because he had to pay this particular tax. I won't go into too much detail, but because he said, "Should I?" not "Do I have to?" The law is the law. So ChatGPT gave it an answer like sympathetically to the client, saying, "No, it's not fair. You shouldn't have to pay it." But that's irrelevant. The law is you have to pay this particular tax, and it went to
Wow.
court case. So what waste of everyone's money?
Wow. So that's one of the biggest lessons out of this podcast is do not ask ChatGPT, should I, or anything to do with your finances. It's clearly
As
like
long as you
not
know the
ready
answer,
for any.
and it just helps you get to the right answer. And you know what the right answer should be, and you've got all the if you can ask it to give you the references, because I have used it, and it does work if you ask it the right questions in the right way.
Yes, but you're talented and know and educated that that's what you need to ask it. I guess there's a lot of us out here that would probably ask it incorrectly, like
Yeah,
you said. I mean,
and
people will
there's
say,
different
"Should
levels.
I?"
Yeah, and I do train it as well. So I've given it the right prompts and background, and I've got all the security setting on. So it's not like just going into the free one and typing a number. I've got a bespoke tax. They call it GPT, don't they? So it's all secure and the right setup. Sorry, I trying to think of the word.
That's all right. Yeah, no, I get it. It's a really important tool if we use it the right way and we know the answer. And I put something in a few weeks ago now. I was asking something and I was looking for some statistics and it threw out, I was very specific and I kind of had an idea of what I was expecting it to throw out, but it wasn't anything like it. So I then said, can you give me the reference point where you got this information? And so I looked at the reference point and it looked kind of a bit of a dodgy website. So it's kind of like I'm not sure where it's picking up some of its information
Yeah,
from.
sometimes I ask it for the link, and I go to the link. There's nothing there, so you just really got to be careful with it, with cheap Chat GPT and AI. But having said
Yeah.
that,
So
if you use it in the right way, not just ChatGPT, but some of the modern technology where the AI is built in, especially for the financial stuff, it does really help and speed up a lot of the processes.
Cool. So I'm just going to quick, I know we're not going to necessarily dwell on it a lot, but April in the UK is bringing obviously some very important tax changes, things that business owners need to be aware of and what things they should be looking to do because it's not far away now.
Few
I
weeks,
think it
yeah.
starts from the 6th of April, is that right? So
Yes. Yes.
so can you kind of give us a bit of guidance on what needs to be done
Sure,
or
sure. So this only applies at the moment to sole traders who are trading in their own name, not via a limited company, and landlords, whether it's UK or overseas property. If the combined turnover, that's turnover, not profit, so before any expenses, if the combined turnover was £50,000 or more in the tax year ending 5th of April 25, then from April 26, you have to file your tax returns effectively 5 times a year. That's 4 quarterly submissions and one final tax return, which is very similar to what we're doing now. So effectively, you've got to file a summary of your tax profit and loss account for your rental income or your sole trader or both 4 times a year via some sort of software, and that's compulsory if your turnover is fifty
so
thousand pounds or more. And then this time next year, if your turnover is £30,000 or more, you fall into the legislation. And the following year, it's £20,000 or more.
wow.
So it's going to hit a lot
Okay.
of people, a lot of people.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is really going to affect like incredibly because here we are thinking it's once a year. So you prepare yourself and you get your admin sorted and it's working out and all that. And then all of a sudden, you have to do it quarterly. And actually, to be quite honest, I didn't realize that it was like the fifth one. I thought it was like, do four and then that covers you for the whole year. But that's really important what you just said because I didn't know it was like the fifth one as well. So,
But the fifth one is what you're doing now. It's
right,
everything else. So if you've got bank interest and if you've got a paid job, you'll put that in there and you'll file it very similar to what you do now. It's the 4 quarterlies that will be the new thing. And
right. Now,
sorry.
no, that's okay. All I was going to say was you mentioned about, online software. Now, is that something that someone has to pay for? Is it through HMRC?
So
Does an
HMRC have very
accountant do it?
unhelpfully said they're not going to provide free software. So you have to
Right,
go to a commercial provider. There are a few free ones out there. There is a list on the HMRC website, and there are a few free ones out there. But as an accountant, there's only a few that I see regularly and would recommend to my clients. One of them is free if you get the right bank account. So if you open a NatWest bank account or Metal, which is part of the NatWest family, and there's two others. I think it's Royal Bank of Scotland and Ulster Bank, I think. If you open one of those, you get Free Agent for free, which is a very well known and trusted software. There's others out there like Xero and QuickBooks. They are not free, but they do provide the same functionality and the submission you can submit through. If you're a landlord, there's one called Hammock that you can use to file these quarterlies. But as I said, there are quite a lot of free ones mentioned on the HMRC website, but as an accountant, I've not come across them, so I can't comment how good they are.
okay. But it's quite interesting because obviously, I mean, I have a metal account, so I know that I have this free agent, which is quite handy. um, and I find metal is really good because it's like it prompts you all the time to align your invoices with what you've received. Where's your expenses? Like it'll tell you, we're expecting you to line this up with an expense that you've got. Like so, upload a picture or whatever of it. It's quite a good prompter. So yeah, I find that's really helpful. But it's interesting that I mean, obviously, I need to get our accountant on the landlord situation because obviously that's got to be dealt with quite promptly. It's just an admin task that a lot of people I've been talking to are like, okay, we have to do that now, whereas people would go, I've got all year and then I'll just be mounting them up and then I'll just, do it at the end of the year. But now it's like every quarter.
Yeah, so the first quarter starts on the 6th of April, ends on the 6th of July. sorry, 5th of July, and you've got 1 month and 7 days to file. So you actually don't have to file it till early August. But I would say that what a lot of people don't realise, it's a brand new tax. So you've got to register with HMRC for the new tax. It's not automatic. So even if you compulsorily go over and fall into the category, you have to register with HMRC to set up the Making Tax Digital taxation
Right.
system. So it's not automatic. So there's a
Okay.
lot of at the moment I'm going through all my clients and identifying the ones and having chats with them and working out the best way because each client's different. There's different options for everybody. So just trying to work out the best way for everybody. Some people want to do the quarterly filings themselves to save money. Some people want me to do everything. So it's just going through my client base and seeing who wants what. But there is a plus side of it all is that having to keep records on a quarterly basis means you are up to date with your finances and you will be more aware of what profits or not you're making rather than having, like I said before, having something done 9 months afterwards and then it's too late to do anything about it if you're looking at your financial position in the year. And if you fill in the information correctly, you'll get a tax estimate, which is useful. So you're not getting a nasty tax bill surprise. Then you're going to have more information that you can make decisions with. So I think don't forget the plus side of it all.
Yes. So
If it's something you have to do, you might as well look at the silver lining out of it.
I was going to say it's always good to have a plus
Yes.
because otherwise people are constantly feeling negative and that's what's coming out the whole time. So having a positive outlook is a really important thing. So so I wanted to touch briefly on, you mentioned about hiring and you've now got 4 people. That's actually a big step to go from being solo. And
Yeah.
yes,
There's
you've
four of
told
us.
us
It's
already the
three
good
plus three.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plus three. So
So,
when I started my business as a side hustle, I was working full time and I didn't have the time to do a lot of the work. So I actually contracted one of my ex-employee colleagues. So she was helping me when she was on maternity leave, and so she's still helping me now. And then in July last year, I employed my first full-time employee. And recently, I've taken on somebody else helping me with the bookkeeping. So there's three plus me. So it's yeah, that's different as well. I mean, obviously, when I was working in corporate in my other roles, I've been team leaders and had people working for me, but this is my own business now, so I had to make sure I'm being a good boss and listening to them and supporting them. Can't just get on with my work, so it's I'm loving it though. It's really good, really enjoying it.
that's good. That first transition of taking on the full-time person, what did you have in your mindset when you knew this was going to happen? Like that's a big step to kind of literally go from solo to,
Yeah, so
I'm going to now
I really
be in charge of these people.
I think I knew I wanted to grow my business. I need to concentrate more on marketing and getting myself out there, and I didn't have the time. So I got to a position where I had a nice buffer in my business to be able to afford to pay a full-time salary. Somebody is earning as much as, my full-time salary before. So it took a while to get to the position where I could afford that. And now she's doing all the most of the accounting work. I'm trying to just step away and do all the sales and marketing and overseeing things and having, I don't want to distance myself from my clients, but I obviously want to take a little bit of a step back so she can have the relationship with the clients as well. So both of us have the relationships, but I've got the time and the capacity to try and build a business and work on the
Yep.
business. The old saying, working on the business rather than in the business. That's what
Yes.
a business owner has to do. So
Yeah,
now the time to do that.
that's excellent. And you feel like, I suppose, what's the word, empowered now that you've kind of got other people that can also take on roles and help you.
Yeah, uh, it's been night and day actually because I've just come back from a week's holiday visiting my son in Canada, and it was just nice knowing everything was ticking along without me. And I checked in every now and then, but I felt I didn't have to. Probably didn't need to even, but I felt I
That's
couldn't
the
not check
power
in.
of having a good team, but a good leader. So,
Yeah. So I'm very grateful for my team, and yeah, I wouldn't be where I am now without them.
Excellent. So just one, I guess I'm just going to ask a quick tip, I suppose, because obviously we've been talking throughout this that people find themselves overwhelmed by money and finance, and with all of this happening in April or not, because not everybody's going to have to be part of that. What is one simple check-in that people can have with themselves each month that makes them feel more in control? So obviously, ultimately, having a financial partner is probably one of the best ways, but if they are looking at trying to manage it themselves, maybe in the earlier stages, what's a
So
check-in that you think they could do?
think the biggest tip I can give if you're not very au fait with the numbers is your bank account doesn't necessarily reflect your profits. So what I started doing, every time money comes in, I know that 1/6 of that is going to be my VAT bill. So put that aside. Don't you think you mentioned the pots before, didn't you? In the banking apps. So I put some money aside for the VAT bill, some money aside for the expenses I know come up. Basically, I segregate my money in my bank account so I know how much I can afford to spend. So you don't basically spend the tax bill. So I've got to put aside for tax, for VAT. So I think that if you are not au fait with your numbers, if you can start doing that, hopefully that's not too onerous and too scary. But that way you've got money aside, you don't come stuck when you've got a sudden tax bill to pay because you've been expecting it and you've been putting a little bit away each time money comes in.
So how much percentage? Because, like, for example, I've got two pots. One of them's I've called savings. So I don't have VAT at the minute. I'm not big enough to do that yet. But I've got a savings pod, and I've got a tax pod. I'm starting to wonder whether I'm putting the wrong percentages away. So my tax one I'm putting across 10%, and my other one is 15%. But I'm not sure if it's the right way round. I might need to change
It's
them over.
difficult to comment. Everyone's different, but the basic rate of tax in the UK is 20%. So if you put maybe 15%, because after you've accounted for your expenses, they might come to about 5%. So if you put 15% away, hopefully that should be sufficient for your tax bill. Um, if it's in your, it's a lot to go into right now in this podcast, but if it's your
No,
first
I
year, you
know.
might have a double whammy tax bill because of the payments on account if you've got a larger tax bill. But at least you're putting something away, and if you talk to your accountant, they can sort of guide you roughly in your scenario. Everyone has different situations, but
Yeah.
15 to 20% should cover majority of people. But in your first year, you might have to put more away, unfortunately.
Okay, cool. That's all right. And now I'll go and amend my percentages. But I do think that's really important. If people have a bank account a business bank account that enables them to do that, I don't think they all do, but I could be wrong.
No,
But
and the
I
other
think
the other top
they
tip
all do.
actually is really important is if you do have one bank account that you mixing your business and your personal money in, I would recommend you open a new business bank account because it just makes things much easier, especially for the new tax rules that are coming in. If you've got a dedicated business bank account, that would be my first tip actually, and then the pots will be my second tip. But yeah, quite a lot of people don't have separate bank accounts, so that would be my first tip is to have two bank accounts and then do the pots.
Excellent. Great tip. So thank you, Claudia. I learned a lot, and not just about finance, but also about where you're coming from and, how you work with your clients, which is really important, and I believe that the words financial partner are actually really key and really important as businesses grow. And you have to start understanding your finances more. It is much better to have somebody who you can work alongside rather than try and work it all out yourself, and then you're either in trouble because you're using ChatGPT, or you're just going, this is all too much, and then you don't do anything, and then that will get you into trouble as well. So you just need to make sure you're covering yourself, which I think is really important. So
Thank you. That's why I love being that financial partner to my clients, just having that extra insight into their businesses and being able to, because I've got quite a lot of clients in the creative industry, I can then learn a lot more about that industry and help the clients if they're missing something I've seen somewhere else. I've got, I can advise them for their particular needs more than just a generic practice with lots of different industries.
I have one final question, which just hit my head, which is your focus is on creatives. Just you're a creative. Does that
Am
mean
I
that you
creative?
are
Uh, I like crocheting in
okay?
my spare
No,
time.
that's all right. I just
Yeah, but I'm not very creative, so the marketing side of things really scares me. Um, and obviously, creative accounting has got a very bad connotation. So I'm trying to be creative in my personal life, but I'm not that creative, no.
oh, that's all right. But you're learning about the industries, which I think is also really important.
Yeah, I'm
And
actually
also, I
doing a couple of
suppose
couple of marketing courses to learn how to market myself and what it's all about. So that's been very interesting.
because you've already got like a pool of clients, then I guess you've kind of got, if you look on if you put this picture of this ideal client on your wall, which is what marketing always says you should do, it's like, who is that person? You've already got that. So that's already,
Yes, that's how it's been quite easier getting them in mind because most of my clients are from referrals or within the marketing industry. So that's been brilliant. Helped me get
yeah,
my ideal client identified.
I like that. You're marketing to the marketing.
Yeah, I think sometimes the marketeers themselves don't market their own business, so it's just reminding them as well to keeping that themselves. They're too busy
Yes.
doing the deliveries for their own
Oh,
clients.
well, Claudia, thank you so much for being on the Empowering Your Circle. And hopefully the sun is out and we can both go and enjoy the sun for the rest
Definitely.
of the day.
And thank you for having me. And it's been a pleasure. Been really enjoyed it.